You are listening to the epic diabetic podcast with diabetic dad, Harvey, and Jules, who's keeping those naughty boys under control.
Hi, welcome back. This is It's Medicinal, and I'm in charge now. I do have my two helpers with me. Hello, Harvey.
Hello.
Hello, Dad.
Hello.
I hope you two are going to behave yourselves today.
Of course.
Good. Today we're going to talk about top tips that people have given us and sent us with dealing with lockdown. And Dad's going to take over that bit. He's going to start.
Okay, I'll do that. So towards the end, we're going to mention all the comments and tips and advice that we've been sent. And there's been quite a few, I think like 7 or 8, something along those lines. So we're going to mention a few, and a few that we don't mention, I'll put in at the end of the video and you can see who's what. So we'll get to that at the end. But to begin with, lockdown's easing, I think, kind of. I think maybe it eased without the permission for some people. We're now allowed, are we allowed one person to come to our house or one person to go to another house? How does it work? What's happening? Because you're shielding, aren't you, Jules?
I'm shielding, so I'm still not allowed to see anybody, except that outside I can see somebody at a 2-meter distance outside. But my mum, who's in the vulnerable category, who is not quite shielding, she's allowed to become part of the social bubble. So she can go and visit one household, and it's like one nominated household and one only. So she's out of us 3 children, she's not chosen me. She's chosen my sister because my sister's got 2 children. So she can go and visit the grandchildren at last. So that's how the bubbles work. I think you just have to nominate one household that you can go and see, but you can only see that one household. You can't be part of like 4 bubbles. You can only be part of 1 bubble.
Ah, yes. Yeah. What about you, Harvey? Have you been popping out and seeing anybody, or I think maybe Harvey's stuck. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, now we're back. There we go.
I think my screen's a little bit broken because I've got a piece of shit old school laptop.
You're back.
But so for me, it's not necessarily easing in terms of what I'm doing. I'm still not going out and seeing people and stuff. I'm still kind of weird about that. But I'm on holiday from work currently at the minute, and while I've been on holiday, they've decided to open up, because I work in retail, so they've decided to open up to the public again. So I am seeing, or will be seeing, quite a few changes, but I don't know exactly how that's going to pan out, obviously, when I go back, because we had measures in place, but whether or not they've changed depending on, like, you know, customer footfall or whatever. So I don't really know how that's going to go. So I'm quite nervous about that, really, because I feel like I should be like shielding, maybe not so much as like Jules is having to, because obviously she has further health complaints, etc. But I feel like I should be taking measured risks away from myself if I can, and effectively that option is not being given to me anymore. So it's a little bit of an awkward situation to be in.
Have you felt more that way since the news about type 1 diabetics being more susceptible to dying if we get COVID? I mean, was that last week? I think it was last week or the week before, so that's quite new news. Has that made you more nervous about it all?
Well, I didn't really know anything about that, really, because obviously I don't really keep up with the times and stuff like that. I just do my own deal and then go to bed at the end of the night. But so I wasn't really that aware of that, but it depends on how that's defined as more people with type 1 diabetes that are getting COVID are dying? Because is that because they're unable to look after themselves, or is it because they're getting high blood sugars because of COVID, or because they're not looking after themselves because they're trying to treat the symptoms of COVID? Like, what is the reason for that? Without the additional information, that really don't put any sort of sway on me, because, you know, you can say, and like, you know, 100% of people that are wheelchair bound can't use their legs. Like, what does that mean? That's just it's a buzz sentence which is there to sensationalize something and make people who don't have those needs.
Yeah.
So, COVID's really affecting people, but it's mostly just affecting people with, you know, autoimmune diseases, etc. So I've got nothing to worry about. Let's go to the beach and spit in a seagull's mouth. Like, doesn't mean anything to me. Like, I don't like hyper-sensationalization in the media. I don't think it's a good idea to just blanket say type 1 diabetics are dying when they catch it, because that's what that's saying at this point, and it's not right. It's, you know, it's very inflammatory of the situation that we're in. You know, stuff is easing off, regardless of whether or not it's easing off well enough for the government to be easing lockdown is maybe a different matter, but it's all weighted, and all those sorts of articles and things like that are weighted, so I don't really tend to take a lot of stock in them.
Yeah, I feel similar. Go on, Jules.
Yeah, I sort of, I'm with Harvey on that one, in that I did read it, and I just thought, just another thing we'd, you know, stacked against us. And if you just look at everything stacked against us generally in life, you know, many people with type 1 have got other issues as well, like I have. And if I just focus on the negatives, I'm going to be so down and depressed, it just won't be worth it. And it's like, the chances of catching COVID are so small. And if we as type 1 diabetics do everything we can not to catch it by being careful, like this morning I've had to go for an MRI and I had the face mask on, using the hand sanitizers, remembering to use a hand sanitizer after I'd used the touch screen to pay my car parking and things like that. Got home, everything came off and went in the wash. I had a shower. You know, there's nothing more I can do not to get COVID. So I think as long as we all do that, the chances of getting COVID are so small. I really don't think personally it's anything for me to sweat about. I have more important everyday issues, like getting my left leg to work properly, which it's not doing at the moment. That's what I'm focusing on, not the bad news. But when it does come to the bad news, the one thing I would say is I hate it when they say things like type 1s are more likely to die, or you get the, you know, if you're overweight and if you're over 40 and if you're this and if you're that, because suddenly you're just like, oh, well, I might as well give up then. You know, I'm overweight, I'm over 40, I'll give up. And then you get the younger people that go, well, I'm not overweight and I'm not over 40, so it doesn't matter. And then maybe they're not being quite as careful. So I think whatever you read in the media, you take with a pinch of salt. And as long as you are doing the best that you can, that's all that you need to do, I think. And worrying won't help. You're just wasting energy worrying about something you have no control over.
Yes. I think there's a lot of, it still is like the main headline news, isn't it? And has been for months. And it's the main news on Twitter most days. Has been for months. So it's easy to get overwhelmed. It's easy to think doom and gloom all the time. But actually, most people are fine or get better when they've had COVID. There's people with type 1 diabetes on Twitter that have had it and are better or nearly better. They're getting better. So I think it's easy to be overwhelmed. But I think you've just got to sometimes take a step back and think, life still goes on. You can't just give up and assume you're going to get something and assume you're going to die.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in terms of, diabetes-wise, do you feel like you're in the same position? Do you think your diabetes has been worse or better, or how have you gone in the last couple of months with it?
No change for me. No change. The only issues
Fair
I've
enough.
had have been like nothing to do with it. That my pump broke, so I had issues with that not working, and blood sugars being all over the place. So that, I had a bad couple of weeks then. The weather has affected it. The fact that I've now got an oven and I'm making really bad puddings for myself have affected my blood sugars too. Jam roly-poly. Oh, awesome, but a big spike. So the whole news and the stress and all of that, I don't think that that's affected me very much at all. I'm not being extra careful with my blood sugars in case I get COVID, because again, I'm just living life. I'm just trying to get on with life as normal as I can in this current situation.
How about you, Harvey? Have you noticed any changes at all with you?
So during the entirety of lockdown up to like the past week, my blood sugar's not really been any different. It's never really great, but I am one of those reckless diabetes people that doesn't really look after themselves very well. But the change that I've noticed since I've gone on holiday from work, and obviously it'll be a few factors. There's stuff like I'm not as active, I'm not on my feet all the time. It's been hotter. There's certain factors and stuff like that. But I've noticed that I am piling in units of insulin. So for something that I would normally do 5 or 6 units of insulin, I'm doing 10 or 15. And then when I'm checking my blood sugar is 19.8. So regardless of overcompensating, I am still having to do unit corrections. But at the minute, I'm so insulin resistant, I'm having to do it on a 1-to-1 scale, which is kind of like, obviously I'm testing my blood enough so that I know that I'm safe and I'm not just drastically dropping my blood sugar for no reason. But say if I am 19.8, I'm having to do 9 units of insulin to bring that down to 14. So, and that's like 3 hours later. So it's not even like it's an insulin dump later on or anything like that. It's not touching me whatsoever. It's just, I don't know, I must just be pissing it out or something, because it's literally just not working for me at the minute.
That's since you've been on holiday, since you've been away from work?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is it less activity?
I tend to find the same thing.
Yeah, so you think it's less activity?
As soon as I become less active, as soon as I change my routine, I just cannot deal with a routine change whatsoever. Like, my body just goes, absolutely not, thank you very much. It's like when I was first diagnosed and I tried to change my entire routine and start eating more healthily and, like, worry about my blood sugar more and keep on top of it, like, and try and do injections and blood checks like every hour or whatever. It was too much, and it was making my blood sugar worse. And that is what's happening now. When I go back to work, I'll just find that it's back to normal like that. It'll just be normal and it'll be absolutely fine. But I cannot cope with a routine change.
Wow.
So yeah, not really lockdown related, but because I would normally be on holiday. I would be on my feet all day. I'd be doing more exercise than normal. So because I'm not doing that, my body expects me to at the very least, just be busy in itself. It's going, right, now we need to prepare for the worst. So it's trying to compensate for me potentially being ill or something like that. but it's just making me sick anyway. So fun, yeah.
It's work, isn't it? It's, you know, any little change can affect blood sugar. It's activity, especially. I notice because I tend to sort of exercise each day, you know, mild exercise, walking and things like that. But if I don't do that later in the day, I can expect to be higher than normal easily. It just doesn't burn it away as much. So it's an activity thing. Certainly affects me. Weather affects me. You know, we've had humid weather in the last few days, and I've had headaches and eye pain, and just more spiky with blood sugars. Just harder to keep that stability. But in terms of lockdown, I think my blood sugars have been slightly higher, despite doing less, despite being here, picking up my phone and going, "Oh, what's my blood sugar?" It's still higher than it used to be when I was more active, more busy, more doing things in the day. I don't know why that is. Maybe it is an activity thing. Maybe it's just doing less, and your sugars go higher.
So have you found during COVID that with your activity it comes down a bit, but for the rest of the day you're not doing much, and therefore it's higher?
Yeah, and there's a boredom factor as well. At the moment, I'm doing homeschooling, so I'm looking after my little girl and helping her with her schoolwork, but that tends to be finished by midday. And then you've got, well, what do I do now? You know, there's only so much TV you can watch, and even when you're watching TV, you can be snacking.
It's being at home, isn't it? And kind of boredom eating, and food is just there.
Yeah. Even though I work at home and I'm used to working at home, when there's no work to do, then you just find, well, okay, I'm just gonna watch TV. I can go out and have a walk, and that'll take up an hour. But activity-wise, work especially, given some of the work I've done in the past, been quite active. When that stops, I think it has an effect on me later. And I suppose I should just exercise more. I should get on the exercise bike, do a couple of miles on that or something instead. But it's the motivation, isn't it? I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything, and I'm not seeing anybody. So let's eat and get fat.
I think motivation is very difficult. I'm finding motivation quite difficult. I mean, I know that I'm a bit of a recluse anyway. You know, even without COVID, I didn't really go out that much. But I'll sort of sit and look around the flat and think, right, what needs doing? I need to do this, I need to do that. And then I just watch Royal Ascot, and the day's gone. Yeah. Motivation is seriously lacking.
Absolutely. Today is the first day that I've got dressed in quite a while. So.
Yeah.
I know.
I think it's because we can't go out. My car is just sitting there, and if I knew that I could just jump in the car and pop to the shop, and even if I didn't buy anything, I know I can go out and I can browse, and I can, window shop and pick up the necessaries and then come back. But because you don't even have that, it's like, well, why bother? Nobody's coming to see me. I'm not going to see anybody. I'm not going out. Pajamas all day.
I can't deal with stuff that flies at you and things.
I
like
can't
bother
imagine.
Me. I don't want to touch them, but
I can't imagine that you would be focusing on your aim if you were being attacked by a wasp.
No, I gave up on that years ago. Just let it happen.
Yeah, well, yeah, most men do.
Yeah.
If they ever.
It is what it is. Yeah, just like a loose fire hose.
Being generous.
Your dreams.
Brilliant.
Right, shall we go on with the tips now?
Yeah, let's do some tips from people online.
Yeah,
that sounds like a good idea.
Okay, so we've had some tips and comments and suggestions sent in. Well, not sent in, tweeted. Sounds like we've got like a post office box, doesn't it? Sent in, PO box.
Mail.
Yeah.
Like kids' TV, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the 70s.
Yeah.
Judy from Colchester sent us this lovely picture of a rainbow. I think you'll find this is 3 pieces of pasta, Judy. This is an F.
So we've had similar things to Judy's in Colchester's picture sent in, but not to our PO box. We don't have a PO box yet, unless you want to send stuff to us, nice stuff, booze. Then we'll have a PO box. That's right.
Booze and money.
Booze and money, always welcome.
And directly to my house.
Yes. PO box Harvey 1. So we had like I think 7 or 8 tips, and we're not going to mention them all. We'll do a few now, and maybe at the end I'll add a few on. So we'll start with one of the longer ones that was sent on Twitter, and I'm going to look at it on my phone, so I apologise for looking. It was sent by Jem on Twitter. She's Stone Cold Babe. Jen lives by herself. She said she's finding it difficult because of the workload she's got at the moment. She's having to do more work, even though she feels she's lucky to live at home. She lives by herself, and she lives with a pet dog. But she's finding the whole thing quite difficult with her mental health, the whole shielding and isolation thing. But what she's found useful, just load the tip she sent. There we go. What she's found useful, she said, doing some exercise helps. I think that's kind of a standard thing. A lot of people have mentioned that, and I've mentioned exercise helping. She said, even if it's a little amount, she doesn't beat herself up about it. She just does what she can do within her work, within her lifestyle, within what she's able to do. She finds that she walks a lot because of her dog, so she takes the dog out and walks. The other thing she found useful is talking to her family via calls, texts and video. And it's just simply a video call can help make her feel better, less overwhelmed by the situation. I think like a lot of us, even this call, we've been doing quizzes and all kinds of things on Zoom. A lot more people are using video now to stay in touch. I think that's helped quite a lot of people. Finally, she said that just talking to her mates online on PSN. I'm in my 40s. Help me out, Harvey. PSN, PlayStation Network.
Absolutely, yeah. You can chat with friends, etc.
I know.
Well done. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. And she's got a couple of mates that she speaks to on there and plays games with, and it just helps to pass a few hours of time. And that they've been listening to her about her issues with furlough, workload. And I think it's been helpful to her to vent to other people, get other people's support. She mentioned to me at the end of this message, but this is simply because I feel that if somebody's mentioned on social media that they've got anxiety about a situation, or they're feeling lonely or sad or down in the dumps or whatever, I think it's nice to say to openly say, my DMs are there, my DMs are open, tweet me if you need my help. I think it's a nice thing to do, but I think a lot of people don't answer that. I think people are more thankful if you send them a message. So if you know somebody who's tweeted or Facebook statuses or Insta or whatever, and they've said something that makes you think, maybe they're a little bit down at the moment, I think it's a good thing to send them a message. I think it's a good thing to be the first one to make contact, to show that person, you're not alone. Tell me what's the matter. Tell me what's going on. And even if you can't help, just listening and being supportive could be useful. So that is Jem's quite a nice long message.
Yeah, absolutely, and I would agree with most of what she said as well. It is just about doing stuff rather than just letting it get to you. So talking to people, even if it's just online, and you know, going out for little walks and stuff like that. It will help you just realign what it is that you're thinking about. It takes your mind away from that continual thought process of this isn't normal, this isn't normal, this isn't normal, and just gets it in perspective a little bit, because it is just what you make of it, really. So, but yeah, absolutely.
Because I've been shielding since I've been allowed out to see one person outside. I've been meeting up with a friend, and we've just been just walking, although I've been on my scooter mainly because of MS issues. So, but just being outside and talking to somebody face to face is massive, makes a massive difference mentally. I come back from that and I'm just like, wow, I've been outside. Okay, I can make do. I'm fine being inside again now because I've been out there, and I can get out there again on Tuesday or whatever, you know.
Yeah, it's that next thing, isn't it? You go out and you do the social bit. You can do the next thing, because otherwise, if you were just sat there, I'm not going to get up and I'm not going to make that, you know, jam roly poly or whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do that, because what's the point? But then when you go out, it realigns what your focus is.
Yeah,
General day to day.
Definitely.
Which helps massively. Absolutely.
I think we all need a
so
little.
I have.
Oh, go on, Harvey. I spoke over you. Go.
No, it's okay. I was gonna go on to the next comment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which I have from Sam, and they've said, I've taught an old dog new tricks, so he got the skills, but still, Mum decided to finally commit to training her too, and Nico wanted to join in, but then got bored because he can easily do those things. So I found some new things for him. He will now roll over and weave. So generally, I think Sam's talking about obviously creating something new within your day-to-day routine, especially where pets are concerned. Like if you try and teach them something, it can be really frustrating for you, but it can absorb like 3 or 4 hours of your day without you realizing.
Yeah.
And then it's the same thing as the previous comment was. You roll on to, well, let's cook that meal, let's bake that thing, let's do that, you know. So it just continues it a little bit further, which is nice.
Yeah. I think a lot of the comments that we've had have spoken about pets and the difference that pets make. I think a lot of people have. I've got one here from Megan, who says, don't overthink things, focus only on the here and now. The future, as it always is very uncertain. So worrying about things that are completely out of your control does not help. And this isn't just for now, but it's always. Appreciate every day in your loved ones. And then she's added, oh, and dogs. Any dog videos. Obviously, I'm a crazy cat lady, so I do prefer the cats, but any pets, I think, are a help.
Yeah, I would add on to that and say any sort of YouTube video that you can easily get sucked into watching about 45 in a row that are only about 3 seconds long.
Yeah.
Because I have found that I do that quite a lot now. If I've got a spare 10 minutes while I'm waiting for something to happen, or you know, I'm upstairs in bed and I can't be able to get out of bed and go downstairs and I don't want to read or something like that, I will sit and watch like people doing K-pop in public dance challenges, or like, you know, something I would never normally watch, and then you get so absorbed that it is a lot of fun, like, and you think, God, it's 12:30 and I've been up since 8 o'clock, where did the day go?
Yeah.
I
have to admit that my YouTube viewing is pretty gross. It's pimple popper and stuff like that, and ingrown toenail removal is the latest one that my son got me into.
You're sick.
Yeah.
But hours pass, trust me, hours pass.
Watching someone get their gammy toe cut into. Ugh.
Yeah.
Whatever floats your boat.
Well, I I hate feet. I've got a real thing about feet. So why I watch them, I don't know. But I think
It's gross. It's fascination. That's what it is.
It
It's the same
is.
as horror films. When people don't like them, they will
Yeah.
watch them religiously.
They hide
It's
behind a
gross
cushion, but
fascination.
they
Yeah.
still have to see it, don't they? It's a bit
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know the look on Dad's face. Yeah.
See, I'm looking at something much. You know, you're talking about people having their boils lanced and toenails cut off. Other people are doing things like learning the violin, and two people.
Oh.
Two people.
Bit more time.
Oh, okay, it could be actually. Yeah, could be. Two people. Shimmer with lots of M's on Twitter has been learning the violin, and so's Louise. And I don't know if Shimmer and Louise happen to be the same person, and they've mentioned it on 2 platforms. But Louise on YouTube has also been learning the violin. I'm not musical at all. Do you two play anything? Sing? Do anything musical?
Not anymore. I used to be able to play the cello at school, which is like probably like one of the nerdiest instruments you could play, which suits me quite well. But I wouldn't be able to play it now, and I don't have the temperance anymore to be able to learn a new instrument. Like I wanted to learn keyboard and things like that. It's just, I get too frustrated with not knowing how to do it straight away that I don't bother.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm not musical. I can't sing. I have the most awful singing voice, so I can't even sing. I can't even hum a tune. So I used to play recorder when I was at school, and that's as far as I ever got.
Okay. Cool. I don't play. Like I said, I don't play anything. Maybe I'll sing you an Oasis song, the 6 pints of beer, but that's.
I don't know it. I don't know any Oasis.
Oh, you would. Of course you would. You'll know one.
You need educating.
I don't have time for that. It doesn't matter how long we're in lockdown for. I don't have time for that. So I have got another comment as well from Simi, and her tip is a little bit different from the other ones. It is still task oriented though, because her tip for staying sane during lockdown is to go on daily walks whenever possible. She takes a camera with her on a walk through fields and local lakes and captures something different. And she's also putting a lot of time into editing the photos she hasn't had time to in the past. So she's really doubling down on her hobby and what she really, really loves doing. And if you haven't before, actually go and check out some of her photos on her Twitter, because she is really good at them and she edits them really well. And it's something we can all do with a little more, beautiful landscape pictures in our lives, because they're a nice little distraction as well, which
Absolutely.
is quite nice.
I've seen her pictures. I've seen her photos. Amazing stuff. Definitely. Go and check those out.
I've just got one from Beth on Twitter, who first of all says that apparently I have the cheekiest grin. I don't know.
Absolutely
about
true. Covers your entire face. Yeah.
I don't know. Beth says that her lockdown has been devastating. Sadly, Beth's dad passed away not long ago, so she's had to deal with all of that during COVID, not being able to see her mum, not being able to see her dad when he was ill. It wasn't COVID that he had, it was something else, and she's had to go through all of that on her own during lockdown, which is very tough for her. But Beth says that on a daily basis to get through, I've had to rein in my usual bigger picture thinking and take it hour by hour, day by day, using practical tasks as distractions, which I think that's how a lot of people are, is because we don't know when this is going to end, you can't look long term, really, can you? You can't make plans. So literally day by day, I don't know if you see her on Twitter and you look at some of her pictures, she's been baking, and yeah, some of those pictures are good. I just need, Beth, if you can just perhaps send us some of your baking, it would be much appreciated. And
That's P.O. Box Harvey 1.
That's it. Yes.
I don't like cake, but I do want to say the way that Beth has coped is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
For the amount that she's had to go through in such a short space of time, which, you know, to Beth and to all of us as well, will feel like an absolute lifetime. She's dealt with it really well, and it's nice to see that she's not been frightened to be emotional and vulnerable as well. Like, I've had a few little conversations with her and things like that, and I think stuff like that's extraordinary, because it just shows you how someone having to cope with loss and things like that can still provide like an outlet for other people to feel safe at the same time. And I don't think she realizes she's doing that at all. I don't think she realizes the amount of goodness and light and energy that she's actually putting out when she's allowing herself to be her on her social media. And I think that is really beautiful, and I think it's commendable as well. I think it's obviously a horrible situation for her, but it's inspiring that she can be so, you know, resilient about it. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of love in the Zoom room for Beth, I think.
Yes, really is.
Absolutely. We've met Beth, but Jules and I have met Beth in person.
Yeah.
She's a lovely person. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do we have any more, or is that what we got? Do we have Julie with the best surname on Twitter? Julie Tickle. Yeah. Who's got that one? Do you have that one, Jules?
Yes. I've got, she says she doesn't have any lockdown tips really, because of the majority of it she's been in meltdown, bless her. But she's still doing her strength training, and I know that really helps her. She focuses a lot on when she does that. She does her strength training, so again, exercise and focus. Going for 5 a.m. walks. I could maybe do 5 p.m. walks, but not 5 a.m. I'm not a morning person.
I could maybe just do the 5 p.m. part. Walks is a bit much.
Yeah. Oh, and beer. So another Julie on social media advocating for beer. Yes.
Absolutely. We all advocate the beer.
It makes perfect sense. I'm not sure about 5 a.m. walking.
No.
I get, if you want to avoid people, 5 a.m. might be the time.
That it would be a good idea to avoid people at that time. That's very true. But personally, just don't even speak to me until 11 a.m. and after at least 2 cups of coffee.
Well, yeah, we've proven that trying to organise early morning Zoom chats, haven't we? Because somebody's never around.
Yeah. There's usually one person missing. I don't.
Who could it be? But no, I think with. Sorry,
I was just going to say that I'm just going to admit to the viewers that we have tried to do this podcast for at least 2, possibly 3 days, and I have bailed out every single day. And even today, we'd planned to do it at 11 o'clock, I think, and I bailed yet again, and we've had to do it later. But I did have a valid excuse today, because my MRI was suddenly brought forward. I had an hour's notice on my MRI, so I have a valid excuse today. But normally,
gin hangovers are murder, aren't they?
They are. especially as you get older. Yeah.
You can't really bounce back so much.
No.
How was your scan, Jules? How did it all go?
It went okay. I was the hospital is now all, you know, laned and socially distanced and everything. And I had my face mask. I've had a face mask made, which is pink with unicorns on, obviously. And but I did notice that nobody else sanitized their hands on the way in and way out. Slightly concerning. But the scan itself, it went okay. Normally, I'm really anxious about the claustrophobia and what have you. And then I had the face mask on, which makes you feel that way anyway. But they said when I'm in the tube, I could take it, pull it down, so I could breathe better and air can circulate. And for some reason, don't know why, maybe it was a short notice, I just found this one really quite easy. I was able to relax and just let my mind wander. And it was all good. And they scanned my head, as they always scan my head every 6 months. And they did confirm afterwards that they had found a brain. So
wow,
just great news.
Were you waiting in the waiting room long for them to determine that, or was it just like a, you know, they managed to actually find it this time, hidden behind like a wedge of sand? Or
yeah, no, I did have to wait a while because they had to obviously find it, you know.
Could you hear like audible gasps or something behind closed doors? We found one.
There probably was, because normally I get my backside scanned because my brains are in my backside basically, because I don't work in my head, that's for sure. I am number one ditz. So yeah, it was.
I think that's a medical appointment, Jules. I think that's something else. Anyway,
that's a Friday night.
Yeah. Just another Friday night. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So that's the end of today's podcast. This has been It's Medicinal. You've been watching our lockdown advice and tips and comments. But next time it's going to be a complete change. You're going to get 4 windows to look at. And in window number 4, you're going to get a guest. It's the It's Medicinal sandwich. It's back. The club sandwich. It's got a 3rd tier with Jules. So stay tuned. Come back next time. Like this video. Please like the video. Please. Leave a comment. You can sub to the channel if you like, and then when the next video uploads, you'll get a notification. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.